Hi everybody, we're doing a nice little bait demo again today, and today I'm going to do a very smelly bait, generally for a non-edible type of fish on our coastline, where we use a base bait, which could be a sardine head, mullet head, mackerel head, basically anything you want to use for your non-edible fish. But the key to this bait is a chokka head. Now often when we use chokka as a bait, people discard the head, they throw it away, but what people don't realize is that chokka head's actually got a lot of flavor in it, and if you use it correctly, it can add a lot of flavor, scent, and a sort of a trail of flavor in the water when you use this bait. So I'm going to make this bait for you and show you guys how I use the chokka head on this specific bait. Alright, so basically we start off by just cutting open a chokka, and for this specific bait we're just going to use the head, as I said, which we normally discard. So there's head, and the rest of the chokka we'll keep for different baits. Alright, so we've got our head there. The first thing I'm doing, I'm just going to cut the guts off there. This is also part of our bait, so we keep that to one side, and I'm going to cut open my head. Basically cut it in half, split it open, and remove the beak because it's a bit of a hard round piece of the bait that's always in the way. Flap it open. Alright, so that's what we're left with. Two pieces of head with all the guts here. You can even take a beak and smash it in there, and that's part of our bait. I'm just going to take this off the bait box. I'm going to put my chokka hammer now, and the whole idea of this bait is to make a smelly, messy bait. So you want to take your chopper hammer and actually smack the crap out of the head. So you want to break it up, and when you cast this bait in the water and it lands on water, it must start dispersing and give off a lot of flavor and smell. So take my chokka hammer and just start hitting this. It's a bit of a splashy story. Hold my hand here. This chokka I'm using is actually quite an old one, and funny enough, I like making this specific bait with quite old chokka because it's got a lot of flavor and a lot of smell in it. So normally if I fish social fish, I wouldn't use it in comp, and I target sharks and rays, I'll use this old bait of mine and make this bait out of it. In the guts you've got the ink sac, and you want to break that ink sac, get all that color out, flavor. Alright, so you can even smack it more if you want. On the beach I'll heat it harder and even more. So, but for the purpose of this video, that's good enough. So you can see all that juice and flavors coming out of that chokka head and guts. And that's key to this bait, is that smell and flavor. Alright, so that's the one part done. So now we're going to take our base. In this case it's going to be a mackerel. As I said, it can be anything. Whatever you want to put in as a base, you can do it any type of head. Wherever you're fishing in the Cape, it might be a yellowtail or mullet, mackerel, the KZN coastline. It'll most probably be something like a bonnie, a mackerel, or red eye. Alright, so let's grab our mackerel head. I'm going to shape it a bit. Always nice to cast the aerodynamic bait. Bit of flavor in there. You got some guts and gills, and I'm just going to rough it up the head. And the reason I do that is for the chokka to stick to it when I cotton it on, and then obviously some flavor to come out of the head. So this is once again one of those nice flavory baits. Okay, so now we can start putting it together. Obviously, if you want to put a dingle through it, you can put a dingle through the head. You can either cut the head open, put the float and a dingle in, or just shove the dingle through. But for this bait, I'm not going to put a dingle through. I'm just going to build it like it is. Okay, so my first step is to take this piece of head that we've smashed and tie that on. I'm going to cut that long feeler off because that's going to be in the way. Back on again. Put a bit of cotton. Right, so that piece is tied on. Turn the head around. Take the other part of your chokka head. Let's cut that long feeler off. So we grab this other side of the head. Put it on the bait. Get those feelers to hang loose. Put some cotton on there. And as I'm making this bait, I can actually smell that chokka, very strong chokka smell coming out of the head. There's a lot of flavor in this head. Right, and from here, I'm just going to start adding these guts all around the head. It's a very messy, smelly bait. It's not too much about looks, this bait. It's all about smell. Wrap that stuff around. Literally scrape all that stuff off the bait box that we smashed flat. Right, and we've gotten it on nicely. And that's our bait done. Half inches as usual to finish it off so your cotton doesn't dangle loose in the water. And break it off. And that's our bait done. So as you can see, it is a smelly mess, a lot of flavor dripping out of it. You got these little tentacles. You can either fold them over into the bait, you can leave them loose. I'm always one that likes my tentacles on my bait. I like the vibration it makes in the water. But if you want to cast this bait very far, I would suggest you actually fold them over and tie them onto the bait so that they don't break the speed of the bait in the wind. But if it's going to be a medium cast and not too far, this is perfect. And yeah, that is our chokka head bait, and it's got so much smell. I can smell it as I'm standing here, and it's a very nice non-edible bait for your rays and sharks or wherever you're fishing in the coastline.